going on, you guys? My name is Matt and welcome to Downshift. Today I am in the Maserati Quattroporte. This Quattroporte has been the flagship for Maserati for the last 50 years. There's so much history behind this thing, and there's so much class, and it's a Maserati. So this Maserati, the Quattroporte, is essentially for the person that says, I want a big, luxurious sedan, but I don't want to go with the S-Class because I have way more personality than that, and I'm way more fun than that. So this car is for them. This car is also for the person that says, yeah, I want some luxury, but I'm in an Italian kind of car and it's supposed to go fast. So it does. 424 horsepower, 428 pound-feet of torque out of this turbocharged V6. There's a V8 option. This is the Grand Sport. You can get the Grand Luxo. It's a little bit more luxurious, that's fine. But a wonderfully snappy 8-speed automatic transmission. Top speed gets you up to 192 miles an hour. But man, this thing is just some fun. I've spent some time in an S-Class and it's just, I mean, like I said, it doesn't have as much personality as this thing. This thing is Italian and it lets you know. And granted, you know, there's carbon fiber and there's red, but there's also that engine. Oh man, God, this thing is fun. It is fun, and one of the things that I love about the Maseratis is they're not always the most practical vehicles, they're not always the most technologically advanced or built out of the best materials, but you get little characteristics that you don't get from anywhere else. You don't get it from the Germans, so you're never going to get, you know, the exhaust note unless you go up to an AMG. You're never going to get like the crazy beautiful red and carbon fiber stitching and design. Some of these models have silk seats. You're not going to get that in an S-Class. You know, no matter how much you pay, you're just not going to get it. So there's some things that this Maserati does that Mercedes, BMW, Audi cannot touch. And that's what makes this car special. This car also comes with the Q4 all-wheel drive system that you find in the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. And it grips after it spools a little bit. Power comes on really linearly. This is a heavy, heavy car. I don't know the exact weight figures, but there is a lot of weight in this car, so the power builds. It's not a quick, you know, shove in your back, but the power builds really slow. I shouldn't say really slowly, but it builds in a dramatic fashion to let you know that you're about to take off and you have a lot of power under that right foot. But yeah, the chassis is extremely well refined. It's 50-50 weight distribution. It's a magnesium body. They tried to do a lot to save weight. Despite, you know, loading this thing up with some of the most luxurious materials. One of the things that I want to mention also in this car is another thing that you will never get in an S-Class. And it's going to sound really weird, but there are the seatbelt plugs. So you have your seatbelt and it plugs in here. The seatbelt plug is wrapped in like a leather turtleneck and it matches the seats and it's exquisite. Like that level of detail is what puts the Italians and the Maseratis and the Alfas and Ferraris and things like that above the rest of the pack. Fantastic, absolutely ingenious, brilliant, beautiful. Love it. Now going back to chassis and refinement really quick, I want to talk about the Skyhook adaptive suspension. Essentially what this gives you is each of the four wheels has its own independent suspension. You have a limited slip differential in the back to aid in cornering, and it really makes this car feel planted, especially in the bends here. You know, you can give it a whole bunch of power and have so much confidence that that four-wheel drive system and that independent suspension is going to keep you planted and keep you with your nose headed to the front of headed to the exit of the corner. It feels wonderful, honestly. There we go. Oh! That nice exhaust to kind of complement the independent suspension and the all-wheel drive and the 424 horsepower pulling you through the corner. So it just reminds you that there's quite a bit of engine in there. Also, since you do have all this power and all this weight, you do need stopping power. So you have Brembo brakes on all four corners here, and they work tremendously well. Now in terms of exterior, this car is, you know, it's nice to look at. It's not anything like super crazy. But that's, you know, that's the Gran Turismo. That's what you want that car for. It's a nice sedan but it also stands out a lot more than a 7 Series or an A8 or an S-Class. So you do get a little bit more flair, and you should, because it's Italian. So the exterior, I think, adds a little bit of flair without being, you know, gaudy or ostentatious. But then once you get inside, that's when you're really met with, you know, the exquisite leathers and the stitching, and in some occasions the silk seats, the carbon fiber dash, and, you know, of course, all the delightful Italian things that you get there. So I really like the outside of the car. I like the quad exhaust. I think it looks nice and mean. Also, the wheel options on this car, beautiful. A wonderful multi-spoke wheel. I see some of the Maseratis come with like the Maserati Trident, kind of 3-spoke, but like there's, I don't know, 5 of them, so there's like 15 spokes. I think those look really cool. It's really something different and kind of true to Maserati, so I think that is a really, really cool feature that you can get to make it really, really classic Italian and Maserati. And of course, as I mentioned, you're going to spend all your time inside the car, so you know you have wonderful creature comforts here. You have a brilliant new updated infotainment display. It's the same one that was in the Maserati Gran Turismo, so go watch my video on that if you're interested. I'll go more in depth on that. But it's brilliant. I mean, it's not going to lead the pack in terms of technology. It's not going to beat BMW there. But what it does beat BMW at is really just the design. And you know, Mercedes, in my opinion, puts up some of the most beautifully designed and, you know, elegant looking interiors. But still, you get into this, and you know, if you've watched my Range Rover Sport video, you know that I'm not a huge red leather person, but this Maserati just puts it together so well. It looks so much nicer because of the contrasted black stitching, and you get little accents here and there, and there's carbon fiber. It looks so much more premium and more elegant and more sporty and interesting than the rest of the pack. It doesn't look sterile like an Audi. It doesn't look, you know, overly techy and contemporary like a BMW. And it doesn't look like, you know, your 80-year-old grandpa drives it like in the Mercedes sometimes. So it's a brilliant, brilliant design on the inside, and I love it. Now, of course, this being Wisconsin, you do get heated and ventilated front seats. You do get heated rear seats as well if you want. But of course, you get a heated steering wheel. So you have all the creature comforts that you would have in a normal car. And, you know, granted, this is a 6-figure luxury sedan, and you should have those kind of things. But then, when I put my foot down, oh, I kind of forget about it, because it does the refinement and, you know, the luxury so well on the inside, but then you can't forget that you have that snarling V6 turbo under there, or in some cases the V8. I know some of you might complain about how, oh, well, maybe, you know, the interior quality is not great, but the design is good. Maybe that's why Matt's talking about the design and not the quality. You know, it's not necessarily true. Any wood trimmings that you'd have on the interior here is going to be completely genuine. The carbon fiber looks to be, honestly, one of the better put together carbon fibers that I've seen. It's got a nice glossy finish. It looks premium. Everything that I touch is really nice, and the dash is stitched and the leather up top here. So no, I mean, there's no evidence of chinsing here. The only time that I'll say that I wish the materials were a little bit different are on the steering wheel here. You do get a little bit of plastics right by the buttons that you interact with. I would have loved to see them do, I don't know, even just like an aluminum plating or something, or like put some carbon fiber on the wheel, just to make it kind of tie the cabin in, you know, together a little bit more. But really, it is extremely nice, and the quality is there to compete with the rest of the pack, but you just get a little bit more character, and you get a little bit more Italianism than you would from the rest of the pack. One of the things that I like is the active headrest. So essentially what this means is you can set your headrest to meet the back of your dome if you're like cruising, you know, highway for a really long time and you just want to sit like this and, you know, have your cruise control take care of you. But I really like that. Also, you get peasant blockers in the back, so you don't have to see all the poor people around you. So that's nice. You know, that's not necessarily a new feature, but it is nice to have. I touched on the infotainment a little bit earlier. It is an 8.4-inch screen, and it is new. It's the same thing with the Gran Turismo that I drove earlier this year. It's new for 2018. It's touchscreen. It's pretty good in terms of responsiveness. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, which is, you know, brilliant. It kind of needs to have that, of course. Some car companies like BMW are not offering Android Auto because they're punishing us for, I don't know, whatever. But you get both in here, which is great. You also get adaptive cruise with full stop, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic, and lane departure. You also get front collision mitigation and level 2 of autopilot. Now, what does it take to get into one of these? This car, as it sits, is about $130,000. And yes, that's a lot of money. However, you're gonna get something that's so much different than, you know, your typical boring, dry person with an S-Class, or, you know, somebody who's got a 7 Series. Oh, great, good, look at you, you made, you know, the decision that everyone thought you would make. If you show up in a Quattroporte with the big trident in the grille and the gills and this, you're gonna cause way more of a scene than anybody pulling up in an S-Class. And maybe that's not your thing, but if you're looking at, you know, a big luxury sedan that's got some power and it's got some style, you know, reflective of yourself, you show a little bit of personality, this is the car for you. This thing is so much fun, and again, it's so adept at handling, and it's got the magnesium body and the independent suspension and the 4-wheel drive for launch. Oh, and then 424 horsepower. Oh man, it's an intoxicating experience. It really is. It's a good car. And it just sounds incredible. That's still one of the things that I love about cars, is their exhaust note. And you know, it's kind of cheesy, it's kind of whatever, but it just sounds good, and I absolutely love it. So well done, Maserati. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, leave a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.